Hello, folks, and welcome to another Sunday live stream. Here to chat about guitar, improvisation on the guitar, or improvisation in general. So hopefully I'm coming through okay. I've been kind of unsure whether to use the mobile live stream or not, so I'm kind of doing those separately. I just have my phone set up here for the vertical live, and then I'm doing my regular horizontal, so maybe this will work out for us. Let me know. Hopefully the sound's coming through. You'll hear kind of probably totally different sound if you're on the mobile versus the desktop horizontal. So grab a cup of coffee. We've been thinking of some different ideas for mugs, but this is the current design. I want to do some patterns and different things, maybe some kind of cool chord displays and stuff like that, and get those up on the merch store. But I think this one's kind of cool. Talking about my podcast. All right, so hopefully you can join me, chat here a little bit. Maybe I'll improvise some, and then we'll talk about some things I've released recently. Okay, my wife's on here, Jason on Facebook. Thank you. All right, do a little playing around here. Okay, welcome, folks. I'm glad you made it too. And hey, Jeffrey, hey, our #1 fan, thanks for joining in. Hearing that folks love the new video, so awesome. That was a fun one, and I haven't done an original arrangement in a few, quite a few weeks, maybe. So that was a fun one to put together. And I also did a little article on Substack, which you can visit that at study.fretpress.com, where you could see some suggested chord scales for studying through and everything. So I'm thinking you're referring to that one, Feel Like Making Love by Eugene McDaniels, as played by, or as sung by Roberta Flack. And I did release a midweek video on recording, the importance of recording, which I believe will really accelerate anyone's progress on the instrument and really help one get kind of in touch with the different details of your own individual playing. So got some hellos on the mobile here. Rodney, welcome. Good morning. Hope you all are doing well. Jeffrey on the mobile too. Cool. Simone, welcome. Thanks for liking. Please do like and subscribe, especially if this is the first time you're on the channel or experiencing it. Andre says hello. Hello, how's it going? A little shout out to Quilter Labs, not sponsored or anything, but had a really excellent experience communicating with them about my just my existing gear and working with the equipment and I'm playing through Quilter right at the moment, and really happy with those folks. But I was really impressed with my interactions this week as I was asking them some questions. So let me know what folks are possibly into this week. What have you been learning about or interested in? I'll do a little more playing here. Thanks for joining. No worries. We'll try to do our best to understand each other. Yeah, it's kind of a worldwide thing. So thanks for joining in. anybody who's speaking even a second one is pretty admirable to me. So. All right, folks. Take me on. Got a request. So this live stream mostly just talking about guitar and improvisation, but I'm coming from the maybe jazz world a little bit, maybe some influences from fusion or other styles and stuff like that. But feel free to ask me any questions, especially on improvisation. That's kind of my main interest. But if you do have some questions, you can check out my Learn Tunes playlist. Quite a few tunes on there you can check out. So yeah, put out a video on the tune. Feel Like Making Love. We've got some pretty cool voicings. Nice little shapes. Minor 9. You can kind of play the melody right out of that, which is pretty cool. Here we've got this kind of A flat over B flat. This voicing I've used on quite a quite a few arrangements here on the YouTube channel. It's an E flat major 9. Helps us with our kind of walk down. Now the thumb action, if you don't like the thumb, you can always do a finger and maybe let it go, and then, or reduce things, make it your own, or whatever you're comfortable with your technique and stuff like that. All right. What else? Anything kind of notable there? Right, they can do these little voicings. One thing that you might find interesting is trying to keep a couple notes the same and changing what you need. So if you're going to E flat major 7 to A 7 flat 5, you can do that little motion. So nice little smooth voice leading there. But check out the video. It's got some pretty cool features. One where you can play 2 different frets with 1 finger, which is kind of a cool technique. I've done that on a few arrangements as well. That's kind of fun. All right. Took a few different elements from that tune. Some little keyboard parts and some of the guitar parts and stuff like that. So it was a fun one to put together. Been kind of a busy week, but fun to work out. Hope you all enjoyed that one. Really like this little motion here. It's really kind of into this. And the melody goes like that, and the chords are going. And you kind of put those two together. Interesting to hear how those notes interact, kind of with the melody, or the notes interact with the harmony, and putting those two together. It's actually not too terribly hard to do. A lot of these things, try to practice like the little details like that. Play it a few times. All right, folks. Thanks for joining me today. Just noodling around there a little bit with Solar, which would be another good one to do on the channel. I know I've done it before. There's a Matheny version I do really like a lot. So that may be another one to put out here soon. Okay. Got a request for Master of Puppets. I have taught that tune a little bit, but necessarily going to do tune requests today, mostly talking about kind of guitar improvisation type stuff. Let's see, Rodney, would you be able to talk about targeting chord tones and improvising, for example, Autumn Leaves in the key of G? Well, it's going to be not to be picky on the details, but we want to name that in a minor key. So I'm thinking you're saying key signature of G, so key 1 sharp. So that would be minor. It does start with a 2/5 to the relative major. Yeah, but definitely. So when you have, let's say, let's see, for example. All right, well, let's take, maybe, let's take the 5/1. So a lot of these things you might want to take in the context of a progression. So even just a tiny little progression or a little segment of it, 5/1 to the flat 3 chord. So, or D to G. So when you go to play, you might play something like, and then, so in that case, we can hear that we ended up, so then we, targeted a note there. So we're going to play some dissonance and apply the 5 chord, which can kind of include those chord tones. Those are all like flat 9, D7 flat 9 kind of sounds. And then do a little, motion into the third of that chord. So that's a way to target tones, is use the progression, because if you're going through a circle of fifths, then it's going to happen fairly naturally, the motions and the targeting the various tones, but you can really get specific with the 5/1. That's going to be where we really want to focus a lot of attention. to target a tone. So, um, and sometimes when you maybe think about theory, get the order of things, swap it around. Try to maybe use a little theory to come up with come up with a line like targeting. Like, okay, what if I'm going for this note and I play some notes that are diatonic above and below, and then try to land on it. So you say, okay, well, I've got this chord sound, so I can go. So that should make sense. Okay, so then you're kind of targeting a tone. And so you're kind of using the theory to maybe compose a line, and then you might spend some time trying to internalize that line so it feels natural or becomes a natural part of your vocabulary. Um, Another thing is to just kind of flip it around, and this is probably a good way to work with recordings and things, and say, okay, well, such and such player played this line, and then try to explain why that worked, or why that sounded good. So you're starting with the actual art, and then the theory really explains or tries to explain the art. That's I think the um, most natural way to think of it, or that would be kind of your first way to think of it, I would suggest. But not a bad idea to take the theory and move in the opposite direction too, if you're trying to create something, or create some language in your playing. So then what happens here, right? Then we're taking a note that's kind of outside of the key. It's chromatic. And then of course there are like names for that. You might say a chromatic approach or something like that. Or you may have heard of like enclosures. But a lot of these things happen like fairly naturally in the course of your improvisation. So you can even take some of your recordings, and or record yourself playing something, and flip it around, like I said, and observe it after the fact, and you might find you're already doing some of those techniques. Yeah, so Karen Hall. Sorry, it's really hard to read the fonts on here, so small. Yeah, this channel is mainly focused on jazz guitar, but not exclusive to any particular um, part of that genre. So I have a fairly broad interest in improvisation and guitar as well. So, but yeah, I'm kind of rooted in that jazz thing. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. So I apologize if I don't do the heavy metal requests and stuff, or the rock requests. Um, but I do teach those kinds of tunes. So if you are interested in learning those, or let me know. Okay, landing on the target tone, say the third or the seventh as the chord is being played. Yeah, that's definitely pretty common practice. It's something I would definitely recommend mastering. Um, Maybe the one perspective I can offer here is uh, you know, to develop language, and not like a single language. So it's not like all improvisation has to be like a certain technique, right? So I really encourage folks to master various ways of working through changes, or playing in keys, or you know, and all that. So there's some real foundational things that I believe are important for folks to learn and master. And so being able to, you know, play those thirds and sevens is definitely important. Uh, so and you can really hear the tune, you know, in that thing. So if you're playing the autumn leaves, you know, you can kind of hear the harmony. So you know, that's one area of playing where I'd like to be able to um, have an idea that it's not only in key, but that the soloist has an awareness of what the chords are doing and has some agreement with that, or intention to disagree with that, or whatever it happens to be. So. So, but you can go after other tones. You can go after non-chord tones. You can go after, you know, other consonant tones like the fifth. You know, even the root. Um, so yeah, happy Sunday. Thanks for joining. Blues riffing. Thanks for joining in. Check my other locations here. Make sure I'm keeping track of everybody. Thanks for joining in. Do I have an extra pickup? Yes, I do have an extra pickup on here. Check my Sunday line, make sure I don't have any questions or anything. Okay, not missing anybody. Okay, yeah, this is called a hexaphonic pickup here, and it's a, you know, this Roland GK3, which is, I don't have it connected right now. I mean, it's I might be able to see. It's got this like 13 pin thing. It also has a regular guitar jack, so you can feed your regular guitar signal through it. Um, so it's pretty cool. I oftentimes use it for inputting keyboard parts or other parts to some of my recordings and stuff. So yeah, just carrying on there a little bit with the autumn leaves. We had a question about that from Rodney. Um, so so he says, thank you for taking the time to answer my question. Yeah, you're most welcome. Cool mods, yeah. Cool mods, yeah. Yeah, it just kind of runs under here. It actually comes off. It's not, I mean, in a sense, it's permanently attached, but I could probably take it off in about 15 minutes. But it's not connected to the wood or anything. This is just kind of slotted in the end hole here, and this one's connected under the bridge. So pretty cool. Simone, thanks for joining. So yeah, I'll take a minute to mention. Actually, I don't know if it's on the vertical live stream, but if you check out some of my other videos or the horizontal live stream, you'll find some helpful links. I have some self-booking guitar lessons, lesson links. So if you want to take a lesson with me, you can schedule that, and then it shows up on my calendar, and you get email reminders, and you get a link emailed to you to join via WebEx. All pretty automated stuff. So that's a great way to just get some instant feedback, answer some questions that might be working for you, and give you some things that you can do. So I'll hang in here, maybe another 10 minutes or so. So thanks for joining me today, and I'll do a little noodling around here. Hello, Simone. Thanks for joining. Hope everybody's doing okay out there. Weather has kind of cooled down this weekend, which is a welcome change. Hopefully the weather is good where you are from, where you're coming from. I know we have some other folks who are on the East Coast. Spent a little time warming up, maybe not as much as I should have, but so I'll mention too, I have a series of sound slice exercises on my website on autumn leaves and guide tones. So you might check that out. Visit prince.com. You'll find the link to that in the menu there. I'm not sure exactly how I set it up, but may have like the first one that's available for folks to try it out. But you can try out all the exercises by joining the membership site, which we've just started this past spring. We've been doing live streams and stuff like that, but I've got sound slice exercises, which I think are really helpful for folks. So check that out if you get a chance. Ryan says hi. Steve says hello. Thanks for joining. Great opportunity to meet folks and and say a quick hello. And thanks for commenting. If you kind of see a video you like, drop me a line and let me know how you're doing with it. Tom, welcome. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I'm taking questions. Thanks for hopping on here, Marlon Nelson. Arpeggiated fourths. So yeah, arpeggiated fourths. So fourths are kind of cool. It's a cool interval, and it's kind of an E sound. I'm mixing in some other intervals there, but with fourths, one thing I'd recommend trying is combining them a little bit with whole steps. So let's say you're going up fourths. You're going to cover a lot of ground pretty quickly with fourths, just because it's maybe not a large interval, but if you're going one direction, you're gonna cover some ground. So you might mix in some whole steps, which sounds kind of cool. It still gives it that same sort of feel to it. But yeah, I mean, you can do all sorts of stuff. One thing that's kind of fun to do is take an interval, and do an arpeggio, and then separate that sequence by some pattern, maybe like let's say I go think about the starting note, go up a half step, whole step, half step. You might get a kind of cool outside sort of sound. Let's see, what guitar is that? Looks like yours. Oh, okay, yeah, this is an Ibanez AS200, I believe, from the late 2010s. Yeah, it's serving me really well. I think if I had to just do it all over again, from an early age, I would get something like this. so it's a real versatile instrument. Let's see. Johnny says he bought the Ibanez AR 520. Nice. I don't think I've played that one, but I'm pretty sure I've seen that around. I find that, Ibanez in general is really good. I've had all sorts of Ibanezes come through here, and they're all pretty good. Let's see. I see you have a lead going towards the pickup. Let me see. What does it say? It's in the guitar. Lead going towards the pickup. Not sure what you mean there, but yeah, they're amazing guitars. I mean, right now I have the neck pickup on. That's what you mean. And I've attached this other pickup too, which is not currently on. Ephraim, how to solo? Great question. Well, one thing is to take a leap, and play a note, just kind of get into trying stuff out. Even if you don't know anything about what pattern you just played, your ear is going to hear some things and connect to your other musical experiences through listening, and so you kind of jump in there, play a note, play a couple notes, try a backing track, try to lift some lines from your favorite players. Jam on some A minor blues. Sure, certainly. Talk about a couple little things. So on the minor blues, sometimes you might play F major 7, and then E7. Sometimes you might play more of an E flat, F dominant 7. So depending on the tune and what the progression, I'll play like that. So So that's it, some little things. Hang out here for a few more minutes, folks. Let me make sure I'm not missing anybody here. Show some exercises for arpeggios using chord scales. Yeah, so there, one thing to do is, play a chord, play an arpeggio, and sort of visualize where those are. Keep reminding your ear the chord and the kind of the shape you're working with, and play some of those in between notes. Right. So there, I'm just kind of walking up to the second note of the arpeggio, walking up to the third note of the arpeggio, walking up to the fourth note, stuff like that. So that's a good way to do a little exercise to do that. How to find the key to any song? That's a great question. So I take folks through this process here in the room oftentimes, whether it's a bluegrass tune or jazz tune or what have you. And the first things I do is just listen to maybe the form of the tune, and then we pick out what feels like the tonic. What feels like home, of course, if it's a tonal tune, and then find that note on your guitar, identify the note name, the pitch, and generally that's your key, and then think about is it, how's the chord progression? Is it a minor type quality is it landing on a tonic note that is associated with a minor chord or a major chord? So that's what I'd recommend doing. How do you move the sound of arpeggios around the fretboard? So the sound of arpeggios, it's going to be a lot of the same sound, right? So, thank you, Jeffrey. Appreciate that. Jeffrey says nice solo. Really appreciate it. You're going to get a lot of the sameness. So if I'm doing C major 7, that's the thing on guitar is that you can play this in a bunch of different places. So really get a lot of the sameness. So you've got to try to connect the note locations with the sound mainly, and be able to adjust your shapes on the fingerboard to conform to the consistency of the sound, really, and work it around the neck like that. It's a little bit of a difficult thing, but just something we've got to get through. Let's see. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Era. Key of any song? Okay, I think I talked about that. Does an F and E give a Phrygian vibe? So this is another thing that I like to try to impart on folks, is that you can't really take like two notes and say a whole lot about them out of context. So all these things have context. So when you think about the notes E and F, yes, if you're in the key of no sharps, no flats, then that's going to be the case, right? You'll have the Phrygian kind of sound, but they have a different context. It's almost like gravity, or they have a different weight or a magnetism about them, um, if it's in a different context. So if it's in the if it's in F, then it's going to sound different. The weight and the effect of that has a totally different sound. So you're hearing more a leading tone kind of sound, you know, leading tone to a tonic. So it all really depends on that. So can you show us Ethiopian scale, major or pentatonic major? Ethiopian scale. I'll have to look that up. Ethiopian scale. Maybe I'll ask ChatGPT. I'll just Google it for now. Here. Let's see what Google has to tell us about that. Ethiopia. I'm just kind of finding this on a random website here. Or maybe I shouldn't say random. I would call that harmonic major. But I wasn't familiar with the Ethiopian term. Yeah, but that's, and on C. It's like that. So it's like C major, but A flat instead of A. If I'm reading that right. It's a very useful scale, and many of the modes are really useful too, and kind of cool, definitely cool sounding. So Joel says, "Nice guitar, thanks." You have tons of compliments on this guitar. I appreciate that. Yeah, Marlon, yes. Yeah, scales are different. Yeah, I mean, everything in music is kind of like, it's the context of the key really matters. 2-5-1 tritone substitution. So actually, I did this in one of the solos earlier. So if let's say you have a 2-5 G, then you can play E flat minor, A flat 13, and then you go to the G and it has a different effect. So you can do that chord wise, or you could do that melodically. So if you have a kind of regular 2-5, that's just a regular 2-5-1, and then the tritone of the 2-5. Right. Okay. So yeah, I would recommend doing the tritone sub on the 2-5, and then go to the the 1, that is the original 1. Otherwise, you're just doing 2-5-1 in another key. Right. So if I had a 2-5 with the E flat minor to A flat 7 to D flat, I mean, you could do that that if you're just really playing outside. But some of those, you depending on what key you choose, it may just sound like you're playing in the wrong key. So just be aware of that. So yeah, Egyptian scale. Sorry, sorry to chuckle on that, but just because it's the second one I've had to look up. Egyptian scale. Musical scale. Egyptian scale. Well, according to the same website, scale notes. See, it looks like pentatonic maybe, so. So, a lot of these, I would just translate this into what my experience is, so that just feels like a mode of the pentatonic scale. So it feels like one of the 5 modes of the pentatonic scale, which has more of like a sus sound or kind of a dominant sus2 sort of sound, sus2, sus4. So like E7 sus would be a great place to use that. So, looking up scales and things like that, in at least in Western music, the major scale and knowing all those modes is hugely important to the music, in the Western tradition. So, I would say if you're learning to improvise, you're probably going to have some overlap with other musical traditions, but I would make sure you really master the major scale modes of the major scale, understand how minor tonality works as well with that, but try to keep it practical in your playing as well. Unless you're going for kind of like exotic sounds and working with modal music and just trying to get different palettes going, that's definitely a cool thing to do. All right, everybody. Well, I'm going to head off here for today. Ephraim, thanks for joining. But yeah, I believe from what I read, and I'm not familiar with the name, but it seems like the harmonic major. Right. So there are basically 4 different scales. If you get really good at those 4 different scales, you'll be in great shape, and the modes of them as well. So you've got major scale, harmonic major, harmonic minor, and the melodic minor. If you can get great at those, you'll be able to hang on most everything, really. I'll take one more question. How to apply circle fifths on guitar? One thing I recommend doing there is working on strings 6 and 5 and going up a 4th, down a 5th, up a 4th, down a 5th, up a 4th, down a 5th. Right. And maybe attaching some chords to that. You can do or just do some resolutions. Right. And get some of that going. Um, yeah, thank you for your continued support and continued following and all that. Thanks for joining. I had a really pleasant time chatting with everybody. Um, wish everybody well this week, and hopefully I'll see you next week around the same time. Keep an eye out for your notifications and all that. All right, everybody. We'll have a great practice session. I'll see you all in the next one. You're welcome.